The shuttle landed hard on the wet ground of Kareth 7. Velen stepped out and looked at the gray sky above. Rain was falling. Cold rain that hit his pale blue skin like tiny needles. He had read about this planet before coming here. A dying world. A world that smelled like blood and fire. He was an Orith. His people were tall and thin, with large dark eyes that showed no emotion. They were known across the galaxy as the perfect soldiers. Cold, logical, efficient. The Orith did not feel fear. They did not feel anger. They calculated. They planned. They won. That was why the Galactic Coalition had sent him here. To watch the humans. To study how they fought. To understand if they were useful in the war against the Vorn swarm. The Vorn were monsters. A hive mind species that ate everything in their path. They had already consumed 12 worlds. Now they wanted Kareth 7. And the humans were here to stop them. Velen walked toward the human base. It was called Forward Operating Base Hammer. A strange name. The Orith named their bases with numbers. Humans named theirs with words that meant violence. The gate opened. A human male stood there waiting for him. He was not tall, but his body was thick with muscle. His face was tired. Dark circles under his eyes. A scar on his left cheek. He smiled. Velen did not understand the smile. There was nothing to smile about. You must be the observer, the human said. I am Captain Do-Hyun Park. Welcome to Hell. Velen tilted his head. Hell? I do not understand this word. Just, Do-Hyun laughed. It was a rough sound, like rocks grinding together. He led Velen through the base. It was chaos. Soldiers ran in every direction. Some carried weapons. Some carried wounded friends on their backs. There was shouting everywhere. Music was playing from somewhere. Loud, angry music with screaming vocals. The Oreth bases were silent. Clean. Organized. This place was dirty and loud and made no sense. Do-Hyun brought him to a large room filled with soldiers eating food. The smell was strong. Meat and spices and something sweet. Soldiers sat together at long tables, talking and laughing. A female soldier approached them. She was shorter than Do-Hyun, but her eyes were sharp like knives. She looked at Velen the way a predator looks at something it does not trust. This is Sergeant Minji Kang, Do-Hyun said. She is my second in command. Minji. This is our observer. Minji did not smile. Another ghost come to watch us die. I am here to study your combat methods. Velen said. The Coalition believes humans may be effective against the Vorn. Minji laughed. It was not a kind laugh. Effective? That is a nice word for what we do. Minji. She walked away. Do-Hyun sighed. Do not mind her. She has lost many friends. We all have. A young male soldier came running toward them. He had a gentle face and soft eyes. He was carrying a small box with medical supplies. Captain, Private Jisoo is awake. She is asking for water. Good news, Do-Hyun said. Velen, this is Private Tae-Hyun Lee, our medic. Best hands in the division. Tae-Hyun bowed his head slightly. Welcome, sir. If you need anything, please ask. Velen studied him. The young human could not be more than 20 years old. In Orith culture, he would still be a child. But here, he was saving lives and watching people die. Why do you do this work? Velen asked. You are young. Why not choose something safer? Tae-Hyun thought about the question. Then he smiled. The same strange smile that Do-Hyun had shown. Because someone has to hold their hands when they are scared. Someone has to tell them it will be okay. Even if it is a lie. Jam. Velen did not understand. The Oreth did not lie. They did not comfort the dying. Death was an end. Nothing more. That night, Velen was given a small room to sleep in. The humans did not separate by rank. Officers slept near common soldiers. They shared blankets. They shared food. A female soldier named Yuna sat in the corner, talking into a radio, making jokes that made others laugh even though tomorrow they might die. Siwu, a large male with sad eyes, sat alone cleaning his weapon. He did not speak to anyone. But when a younger soldier sat next to him, he moved to make room. Small actions. Meaningless actions. Yet the humans seemed to find comfort in them. At midnight, the alarms began to scream. Velen ran outside. Soldiers were rushing to the walls. Do-hyun stood in the center, shouting orders. His voice was calm but powerful. "The Vorn are coming," Minji said, appearing beside Velen. "Thousands of them. Our sensors picked them up 10 minutes ago." Velen checked his datapad. The numbers were clear. The Vorn force was massive. The human base had only 200 soldiers. The probability of survival was 11%. "You must retreat," Velen said. "The mathematics demand it. You cannot win this fight." Do-hyun turned to look at him. His eyes were hard. "We have 43 wounded soldiers in the medical bay. They cannot be moved. If we run, they die." "They will die anyway," Velen said. "You will all die. This is not logical." Do-hyun stepped closer. For a moment, Velen saw something in the human's eyes. Something burning. Something that his species did not have. "Then we die together. We do not leave our people behind. Not ever." Velen stood frozen as the humans prepared for battle. They checked their weapons. They embraced each other. Some whispered words to themselves. Prayers. Velen realized. They were praying to gods he did not know. Taehyun walked past him, carrying his medical bag. His hands were shaking, but he was smiling. "Are you not afraid?" Velen asked. Taehyun stopped. He looked at the dark horizon where the Vorn were coming. "I am terrified," he said quietly. "But my friends are here, and I would rather die with them than live without them." He walked away toward the medical bay. Velen stood alone in the rain, watching these strange creatures prepare to fight a battle they could not win. He did not understand them. He did not understand any of this. But somewhere deep in his chest, in a place he did not know existed, he felt something stir. He would later learn that humans called it respect. The Vorn came at dawn. Velen had seen war before. The Orith fought many battles across the galaxy. But he had never seen anything like this. The horizon turned black. Not from darkness, but from bodies. Thousands of Vorn creatures running across the basin toward the human base. They screamed as they ran. A high, terrible sound that shook the air itself. Their bodies were twisted and wrong. Too many legs, too many teeth, eyes that glowed red in the morning light. The humans opened fire. The sound was deafening. Guns roared from every wall. Explosions lit up the ground. Vorn bodies flew apart in showers of black blood. But more kept coming. Always more. Velen stood on the command platform beside Captain Do-hyun. His datapad showed the numbers. 12% survival probability. Now 10. Now 8. "We cannot hold," Velen said. Do-hyun did not look at him. His eyes were fixed on the battle below. "Watch," was all he said. And Velen watched. He watched Sergeant Minji run along the wall, screaming at her soldiers. Her voice was so loud it cut through the gunfire. She was not giving orders. She was roaring, cursing, calling the Vorn names that Velen did not understand. The soldiers around her fought harder. They fed on her rage like it was fuel. He watched Corporal Yuna stand at her radio station, even as Vorn claws tore through the wall beside her. She kept talking, kept calling for support, kept telling jokes to the soldiers on other channels to keep them calm. A piece of metal cut her arm. She wrapped it with tape and kept working. He watched Private Siwu carry a weapon that was meant for vehicles. It took 3 Orith soldiers to lift such a gun. Siwoo held it alone. His muscles shook, his face twisted with effort. But every time he fired, a dozen Vorn fell, and he watched Taehyun. The young medic ran into the open ground where wounded soldiers lay. The Vorn were everywhere. Spines flew through the air like rain. Any logical being would have stayed in cover. Taehyun did not. He grabbed a fallen soldier by the arms and dragged her back to safety. Then he ran out again. And again. And again. 7 times. 7 times he ran into death itself and came back alive. Velen counted. His datapad recorded everything. No Orith medic would do this. When a soldier fell in open ground, they were marked as lost. Resources were not wasted on the probably dead, but Taehyun wasted himself. Over and over. The battle lasted 3 days. 3 days of constant fighting. The humans slept in shifts of 2 hours. They ate cold food, standing up. They fought until their guns overheated and their hands bled. On the second night, the outer wall fell. Vorn poured through the gap like water through a broken dam. Velen saw soldiers disappear under waves of black bodies. He heard screaming. Human screaming. The sound was different from Orith death. It was not quiet acceptance. It was rage. Defiance. They screamed because they refused to die in silence. Captain Do-hyun ordered a retreat to the medical bunker. The soldiers moved in tight groups, covering each other, firing behind them as they ran. 9 soldiers did not make it. Velen saw a young female soldier get pulled down by 3 Vorn. She kept firing even as they tore into her. She killed all 3 before she died. Her name was Jisoo, the same soldier Taehyun had saved that morning. When they reached the bunker, something happened that Velen could not understand. The humans went back, not to fight, not to hold ground. They went back for the dead. Minji led a team of 4 soldiers into the darkness. Vorn were still everywhere. The probability of survival was less than 3%. But they went anyway. They came back carrying bodies. 3 dead soldiers, cold and broken. Useless weight that slowed them down and risked more lives. Why? Velen demanded. His voice was sharp, confused. They are dead. They serve no purpose. You risk living soldiers to carry empty shells. Yuna looked at him. Her face was covered in blood and dirt. Her eyes were empty. But her voice was steady. We do not leave anyone behind. Not ever. Not the living. Not the dead. Velen did not have words. The 3rd day was the longest. The Vorn hit the bunker doors with everything they had. The metal bent. Cracks appeared. Inside, humans stood shoulder to shoulder, waiting. Siwoo stood at the front. A Vorn spine had gone through his shoulder during the night. The wound was terrible. Black blood mixed with red. Any Orith soldier would have been removed from combat status. Siwoo had pulled the spine out himself. He wrapped the wound with cloth torn from his own shirt, and he kept fighting. When Velen asked why, Siwoo just shrugged. My friends are behind me. If I fall, they die. So I do not fall. The words were simple. The logic was simple. And yet, it was completely insane. Just before noon on the 3rd day, the sky lit up with fire. Coalition dropships broke through the clouds. Heavy weapons rained down on the Vorn. The creatures scattered. They ran. For the first time in 3 days, the screaming stopped. Velen looked around the bunker. Bodies lay everywhere. Human bodies and Vorn bodies mixed together. The floor was wet with blood. The walls were cracked. The air smelled like death. Of 200 soldiers, only 47 were still breathing. Captain Do-hyun sat against a wall. His uniform was torn. His face was gray with exhaustion. But he was alive. Minji knelt beside a dead soldier, holding his hand. She was not crying. Her face was stone. But she held that hand like it was the most precious thing in the universe. Taehyun moved through the wounded, checking pulses, wrapping bandages. His hands were red up to the elbows. He had not stopped working for 3 days. Velen walked outside. The basin was covered with Vorn corpses, thousands of them. The humans had killed so many, too many. The numbers did not make sense. He looked at his data pad. The survival probability had been 12% at the start, then 10, then 8, then 3. The humans had not cared about any of those numbers. They had fought anyway. They had screamed and bled and died and refused to stop. They had carried their dead through hell. They had held the line when the line should not exist. Velen stood in the rain and realized something that changed him forever. The Orith fought because victory was probable. The humans fought because surrender was impossible. And that made them the most terrifying species he had ever seen. The silence was worse than the screaming. Velen walked through the base on the morning after the battle ended. Coalition medical ships had arrived. Soldiers in clean uniforms moved around, helping the wounded, counting the dead. Everything was organized now. Efficient. But the humans of Black Phoenix Division did not seem to notice. They sat in small groups. Some stared at nothing. Some held objects in their hands. Photographs. Letters. Small metal tags with names carved into them. They did not speak. They barely moved. Velen found Captain Do-hyun sitting alone near the broken wall. He was holding a list. A long list, written on dirty paper. "What is that?" Velen asked. Do-hyun looked up. His eyes were red. Names. Names of what? Everyone we lost. Velen looked at the list. 153 names. Written in careful letters, despite the shaking hand that had written them. "What will you do with this list?" Do-hyun stood up slowly. His body moved like an old man, though he was not old. "We read them. All of them." He walked toward the center of the base where the surviving soldiers had gathered. 47 humans, standing in a broken circle. Wounded. Exhausted. But standing. Do-hyun began to read. "Private Kim Yunho. Private Kim Junho," the soldiers repeated together. "Corporal Shin Aini. Corporal Shin Aini." Name after name. Voice after voice. The soldiers said each one like a prayer. Some voices broke. Some stayed strong. But everyone spoke. Velen stood at the edge and watched. He did not understand this ritual. The dead were gone. Saying their names would not bring them back. It was inefficient. It was illogical. But something about it made his chest feel heavy. The reading took 2 hours. When it was done, the soldiers embraced each other. Some cried openly. Others simply stood close, shoulders touching, sharing warmth. Sergeant Minji walked past Velen. Her face was wet with tears she did not try to hide. "You think we are weak," she said. It was not a question. "I think you are strange," Velen replied honestly. Minji almost smiled. Almost. Grief is not weakness. Grief is the price of love. We pay it because they were worth loving. She walked away before Velen could respond. He found Taehyun sitting alone behind the medical bay. The young medic was washing his hands in a bucket of water, scrubbing hard, too hard. His skin was turning red. Velen watched for several minutes. "Your hands are clean," he finally said. Taehyun did not stop scrubbing. "No, they are not. I can see them. There is no blood." Taehyun looked up. His eyes were hollow, empty in a way Velen had not seen before. "I could not save them all. Jisoo died because I was too slow. Private Wu died because I chose to help someone else first. Their blood is on my hands. It will always be on my hands." Velen tried to process this. "You saved many lives. 34 soldiers survived because of your work. The mathematics are positive." Taehyun laughed. It was a terrible sound. "Mathematics. You think I care about mathematics? Each person I lost was a universe. A whole life. Dreams. Family. Love. All of it gone. Because I was not good enough." He went back to scrubbing. Corporal Yuna found him later. She did not say anything. She just sat beside him and put her hand on his shoulder. They stayed like that for hours. No words. No explanations. Just presence. Velen did not understand, but he watched. The next day brought a new surprise. Siwu was standing guard near the edge of the base when he saw movement in the rocks. A Vorn drone. It was badly wounded. One of its legs was missing. It was trying to crawl away. Any logical action would be to kill it or let it die. The creature was an enemy. It had killed human soldiers. It deserved nothing. Siwu raised his weapon. Then he lowered it. "Tae-hyun," he shouted. "Get over here." The medic came running. He saw the Vorn and stopped. "What am I supposed to do with that?" "Fix it," Siwu said quietly. Tae-hyun stared at him. "It is the enemy. It probably killed some of our friends." "I know." Siwu's voice was heavy. "But it is hurt. And we are not monsters." Velen watched in complete confusion as Tae-hyun approached the wounded creature. The Vorn hissed at him. Its remaining claws scraped against the rocks, but it was too weak to fight. Tae-hyun cleaned its wounds. He bandaged the stump where its leg had been. He gave it water. The Vorn watched him with its red eyes. It did not understand either. Minji came to see what was happening. She looked at the bandaged creature and then at Siwu. "Coalition will want to question it," she said. "If it survives." "Will it survive?" Siwu asked Tae-hyun. The medic shrugged. "Maybe. Probably not. But I did what I could." Velen finally spoke. "Why? This creature is your enemy. It would not show you the same mercy." Minji turned to look at him. Her eyes were hard but not angry. "That is exactly why we do it. Because they would not. Because being human means being better than the darkness. If we become what they are, then what are we fighting for?" She walked away. That night, Velen wrote his report. His fingers moved slowly across the datapad. The words were difficult to find. He wrote about the battle, the numbers, the tactics, all the things the Orith Council wanted to know. But he also wrote about the names, the grief, the medic who scrubbed blood that was no longer there, the soldier who showed mercy to an enemy. He wrote, "Humans are not efficient. They are not logical. They carry their dead, mourn their losses, and show mercy to those who deserve none. And yet, they did not break. Every calculation said they would fail. They refused to accept the calculation. I do not understand these creatures, but I am beginning to fear them. Not because they are strong, because they believe in something beyond survival. And that belief makes them do impossible things." He saved the report, but did not send it. There was more to see, more to understand. The Vorn drone died 3 days later. Tae-hyun buried it in a small grave outside the base. He did not say any words. He just stood there for a moment, with his head bowed. Then he went back to work, saving the living, honoring the dead, even the enemy dead. Velen watched and wondered if his people had lost something important long ago. Something these strange, broken, beautiful creatures still carried in their hearts. 3 weeks passed after the Battle of Kareth Basin. The base was rebuilt. New soldiers arrived to replace the fallen. But the survivors of Black Phoenix Division kept to themselves. They had seen something together. They had become something together. Outsiders could not understand. Velen stayed with them. He told the coalition he needed more time to complete his observations. The truth was simpler. He did not want to leave. Then the new orders came. Captain Do-hyun called a meeting in the command room. His face was darker than Velen had ever seen. Sergeant Minji stood beside him, arms crossed, jaw tight with anger. "Coalition intelligence found a Vorn breeding facility," Do-hyun said. 50 kilometers south. They are growing something new, a bioform that releases poison spores. If it matures, this entire planet dies. The soldiers listened in silence. "Command has ordered an orbital strike. The facility will be destroyed in 12 hours. Yuna leaned forward. That sounds like good news. What is the problem? Do-hyun's hands tightened into fists. There are human prisoners inside. 32 soldiers captured from the 12th Regiment 2 months ago. Coalition Command has marked them as acceptable losses. The room went cold. Acceptable losses. Velen knew this phrase. The Orith used it often. When the cost of rescue exceeded the value of the rescued, you accepted the loss and moved forward. It was logical. It was efficient. The humans did not see it that way. Siwoo stood up slowly. His wounded shoulder was still wrapped in bandages. His face was stone. We are going to get them. It was not a question. Do-hyun nodded. We have 11 hours before the strike. The mission is voluntary. I will not order anyone to come. Every soldier in the room stood up. Velen calculated quickly. The breeding facility would be heavily guarded. Thousands of Vorn. The rescue team had 47 soldiers, many still recovering from wounds. The probability of survival was 4%. This is suicide, Velen said. The numbers are impossible. Do-hyun looked at him. There was fire in his eyes. Those are our people in there. They are waiting for someone to come. They are hoping someone remembers them. We are going to be that someone. You will lose more soldiers than you save. The mathematics can burn. Minji's voice cut through the air like a blade. We do not calculate the worth of human lives. Every single one of those prisoners has a family, a name, a story. We do not leave them to die in the dark. Velen fell silent. The assault began at midnight. 3 dropships carried the Black Phoenix soldiers to the edge of the breeding facility. The structure was built into the side of a mountain. Organic walls. Tunnels that twisted like veins. The smell of death was everywhere. They went in fast and quiet. Taehyun stayed in the middle of the formation. Medical bag ready. Yuna handled communications, relaying positions and updates. Siwoo took point with his massive gun. The first contact came in the outer tunnels. Vorn guards attacked from the shadows. The fighting was brutal and close. Soldiers fired point blank into screaming faces. Claws tore through armor. Blood sprayed against the walls. They pushed through, deeper and deeper into the hive. Every room held new horrors. Vorn eggs pulsing with foul light. Half-formed creatures growing in organic sacs. The poison bioform was somewhere ahead, still developing. But first, the prisoners. They found them in a chamber deep underground. 32 human soldiers locked in cages made of bone and flesh. Most were barely alive. Thin. Broken. Eyes that had forgotten how to hope until they saw the Black Phoenix soldiers. One prisoner started crying. Another laughed. A woman reached through the bars with shaking hands, touching Minji's face, like she could not believe it was real. You came, she whispered. You actually came. Of course we came. They broke open the cages. Taehyun moved among the prisoners, checking wounds, giving water. 11 were strong enough to walk. The rest had to be carried. We need to move, Do-hyun ordered. The strike is coming. They ran. The Vorn knew they were there now. Screams echoed through the tunnels. Creatures poured from every direction. The humans formed a protective circle around the prisoners and fought their way toward the exit. They lost soldiers. Private Yejin fell when a Vorn dragged her into the darkness. Corporal Dongwoo died holding a corridor so others could pass. Each death was a knife in the heart of those who kept running. Then, they reached the central chamber. Hundreds of them, blocking the only exit. Do-hyun looked at his soldiers. At the prisoners they had come to save. At the wall of death ahead. We punch through, he said. All at once. Everything we have. Siwoo stepped forward. I will open the path. Get them out. Get them out. Minji grabbed his arm. You will die. Probably. Siwoo smiled. It was the first time Velen had seen him smile. But they will live. That is enough. Siwu. 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 He ran forward before anyone could stop him. His gun roared like thunder. Vorn bodies exploded. He did not stop firing. He did not stop moving. He carved a bloody path through the hive. The others ran through the gap he created. Velen looked back and saw Siwu standing alone against the swarm. Creatures climbed over the bodies of their dead to reach him. His gun clicked empty. He drew a knife. He was still fighting when the tunnel collapsed behind them. They made it to the surface. The dropships were waiting. Soldiers pushed the prisoners aboard. Everyone was screaming, crying, bleeding. 11 prisoners saved. 12 soldiers lost. Do-hyun was the last to board. He stood at the ramp, looking back at the mountain. Somewhere inside, Siwu was dying. Or already dead. "Captain, we have to go," Yuna said. Her voice was broken. Do-hyun did not move. Minji handed him something small and metal. Dog tags. Siwu's dog tags that he had left behind before the mission. "He asked me to give these to you," she said. He knew. He knew he was not coming back. Do-hyun took the tags. He pressed them to his forehead. "Siwu Baek," he whispered. "I will remember." The dropship lifted off. 60 seconds later, nuclear fire erased the breeding facility from existence. The mountain turned to glass. The bioform died before it could be born. On the ship, no one celebrated. Velen sat in the corner and watched the humans grieve. They held the prisoners close. They wept for the fallen. They said names into the silence. Taehyun appeared beside him. The medic's hands were shaking. "You saved 11 people," Velen said. "You lost 12. The mathematics." "Stop." Taehyun's voice was tired. So tired. "I know the mathematics. I will carry them forever. But those 11 people are alive. They will go home. They will hold their families. That is worth everything. That is worth my life. Worth all our lives." Velen looked at the rescued prisoners. One of them was hugging Minji, sobbing into her shoulder. Another was drinking water, like he had forgotten what it tasted like. Alive. "Against all odds. I do not understand you," Velen admitted. Taehyun almost smiled. "No. But maybe someday you will." The Orith homeworld was cold and quiet. Velen stood in the great hall of the High Strategic Council. 12 elders sat before him in a half-circle, their pale faces showing nothing. They had not moved or spoken in over an hour as he delivered his report. The hall was made of white stone, no decorations, no warmth. Everything was designed for function. This was the Orith way. Velen had spent 1 month preparing for this moment. He had organized his data, calculated the statistics, prepared the logical conclusions. But when he opened his mouth, something else came out. "I was sent to study human combat effectiveness," he began. "I was expected to return with tactical analysis. Numbers. Probability assessments." The elders waited. "I have those numbers. Humans suffer higher casualties than any coalition species. Their equipment is inferior to ours. They make tactical errors constantly. By every measurement we use, they should be ranked among the weakest military forces in the galaxy." Elder Vorath leaned forward slightly. "Then they are useless?" Velen was quiet for a long moment. "No. They are the most dangerous species I have ever encountered." Confusion rippled through the council. The Orith rarely showed emotion, but Velen had learned to read the small signs. A slight tilt of the head, a narrowing of eyes. They did not understand. Good. He had not understood either. "Let me tell you what I saw." He told them about Taehyun, the young medic who ran into enemy fire 7 times to save wounded soldiers, who scrubbed his hands for hours trying to clean blood that was no longer there. who treated a dying enemy with the same care he gave his own people. He told them about Minji, the sergeant who screamed so loud that even the Vorn hesitated, who wept for the dead without shame, who said that grief was not weakness, but the price of love. He told them about Siwu, the soldier who fought with a spike through his shoulder, who walked into certain death with a smile because it meant his friends would live. He told them about Do Hyun, the captain who refused to retreat when the numbers demanded it, who disobeyed orders to save 32 prisoners, who read 153 names out loud because every single one mattered. He told them about Yuna, about the dead being carried home, about the dog tags and the photographs, and the prayers whispered in the dark. When he finished, the great hall was silent. Elder Marika spoke first. Her voice was thin and sharp. This is inefficiency. These emotional attachments create weakness. They reduce combat effectiveness. Yes, Velen agreed. By our standards, they are weak. But our standards are wrong. The elders shifted. This was dangerous ground. Questioning Oreth doctrine was not done. Velen continued anyway. We calculate acceptable losses. We retreat when probability drops below 40%. We leave our dead where they fall because they serve no purpose. This is logical. This is efficient. And it is why we would lose a war against the humans. Explain, Elder Foreth demanded. Velen took a deep breath. When an Oreth soldier falls, we mark them as lost and continue. Their death has no meaning beyond the statistical impact on our forces. We fight because victory is probable. When it is no longer probable, we stop fighting. He paused. Humans are different. Every soldier knows that if they fall, someone will come for them. Living or dead, they will be carried home. Their name will be remembered. Their sacrifice will mean something. This knowledge does not make them weak. It makes them unstoppable. He stepped forward. I watched 47 humans hold a position against thousands of Vorn for 3 days. Every calculation said they would break. They did not break. They screamed and bled and died and kept fighting because surrender was not possible. Not because they could not surrender. Because they would not. His voice grew stronger. I watched a captain disobey direct orders to rescue 32 prisoners. He lost 12 soldiers to save 11 people. The mathematics were negative. He did not care, because humans do not measure each other in mathematics. Every single life is worth everything. The elders were silent. Velen could feel their confusion, their discomfort. Good. You asked if humans are useful in the war against the Vorn. My answer is yes. Not because they are strong. Not because they are smart. Because they believe in something we do not have. They believe in each other. He looked at each elder in turn. The Vorn are a hive mind. They fight as one creature with a billion bodies. They do not fear death because individual death means nothing to them. Against such an enemy, our calculations are useless. We cannot outnumber them. We cannot outlogic them. He let the words hang in the air. But humans can match them. Not with numbers. With will. The Vorn do not understand what it means to carry your dead through fire. They do not understand what it means to disobey orders for love. They do not understand what it means to show mercy to an enemy. These things are weakness to them. Confusion. And that confusion is a weapon. Elder Marika raised her hand. You speak of these humans with admiration. Have you lost your objectivity? Velen considered the question carefully. Yes. I have. I have learned something on Kareth 7 that I did not expect to learn. The Oreth removed emotion from our species because we believed it made us weaker, but the humans showed me that emotion is also strength. Love makes them fight harder. Grief makes them remember. Mercy makes them different from the monsters they kill. He straightened his back. We are efficient. We are logical. We are cold. And we are alone. Every Oreth soldier fights as an individual unit serving a greater purpose. But humans fight as a family. They carry each other. They die for each other. And they never, ever leave anyone behind. His final words echoed through the chamber. Do not make enemies of these creatures. They are not the strongest species in the galaxy. They are not the smartest, but they are the most relentless. Not because they do not fear death, but because they fear abandoning each other more. The council deliberated for 3 hours. When they called Velen back, Elder Vorath delivered their decision. Your report is noted. The coalition alliance with humanity will continue. You will return to observe further. Minus Ply. Velen bowed his head. I request permanent assignment to the Black Phoenix Division. The elders looked at each other. Why? Velen thought about the question. About Dohyun's tired smile. About Taehyun's gentle hands. About Minji's fierce eyes. About Siwoo's sacrifice. Because they are worth studying. And because I want to understand what it means to be human. The request was granted. 2 weeks later, Velen returned to Kareth 7. The base looked different now. Rebuilt. Stronger. New faces mixed with old ones. But the survivors of the original battle were still there. Still carrying the weight of what they had seen. Captain Dohyun met him at the gate. His face was tired, but his eyes were warm. Welcome back, observer. I am no longer just an observer, Velen said. I have been assigned permanently to your division. Dohyun raised an eyebrow. Is that so? Sergeant Minji appeared beside him. She held something in her hand. Small and metal. Dog tags. She handed them to Velen. If you are going to stay, you need these. Velen looked at the tags. Simple, metal rectangles, with words carved into them. Velen, Black Phoenix, one of ours. His chest felt strange, tight, warm. He did not have a word for the feeling. One of ours, Minji said. That means we come for you if you fall. That means we carry you home. That means you are never alone. Velen held the tags carefully. I do not know how to be human. Dohyun smiled and handed him a cup of the hot brown liquid called coffee. Nobody does. We just figure it out together. Taehyun appeared from the medical bay, waving. Yuna was laughing at something on her radio. New soldiers were training in the yard, learning the ways of Black Phoenix. Velen looked at them all. This strange, loud, emotional, illogical family of creatures who carried their dead and showed mercy to their enemies and refused to leave anyone behind. He put the dog tags around his neck. For the first time in his life, he smiled.